Chapter 9 of Stones and Sad Creatures. Transfiguration is not, and has never been, Harry's cup of tea. Harry has always been putting a lot of effort into developing his skills and growing stronger in the fields, which he had found himself passionate about. He has always excelled as a duelist, distinguishing himself with his wide range of powerful defensive and offensive spells, extremely sharp senses, and quick reflexes. He also has always been extraordinarily good with living creatures. All kinds of plants and animals seem to enjoy his company, and easily bend to his will. On the contrary, branches of magic that require precision and finesse, such as Transfiguration, have never belonged on Harry's list of favorites. He has never even considered exploring the art of Transfiguration on a level deeper than superficial, or starting any personal development towards this branch of magic. Therefore, now looking into wide, round eyes of Professor McGonagall, he is sincerely unsure how to react. The elderly witch seems genuinely shocked by Harry's Transfiguration performance, even though all he did was fulfilling a couple of baby-level assignments she had given him. Having joined the class, Harry was asked to transfigure a match into a needle, which is a standard, simplest transfiguration exercise for each of the Hogwarts newcomers. Seeing how easily Harry has dealt with his task, Professor McGonagall asked him to perform a few more complex transfigurations. After he managed them effortlessly and spotlessly, she took off her own wristwatch, asking him to turn it into an alarm clock. Harry was actually very lucky to remember, from his stay at Spinner's End, what an alarm clock actually looked like. He is able to superficially restructure the wristwatch and make it look like an alarm clock from outside. What Harry did is basically only a number of cosmetic changes, like if she had just witnessed a godlike miracle. "Mr. Gaunt, I've been teaching here for 35 years, but never have I seen such a performance from a freshman," she says quietly. "It doesn't reflect well on this pathetic excuse for a school, does it?" Harry hisses flatly. I cannot understand you, Mr. Gaunt. "But I reward Slytherin with 20 points for your extraordinary skills," the elderly woman says. "Whatever, I don't care." "Mr. Gaunt, over the last weeks, I've noticed at least 6 freshmen who are going to need extra classes and a tutor's guidance to help them with their practical magical performance," shooting a quick glance towards the chubby boy with the Gryffindor crest on his chest. "As a fellow freshman, he would be a perfect candidate for a tutor. What'd you say?" Harry flinches. "Like hell I would," he hisses. "Accepting a bunch of squibs into your school doesn't reflect well on it either, you know. You've accepted them, now deal with the consequences on your own." Much to Harry's relief, the sound of the school bell cuts the annoying conversation off. "Your homework assignment, a 2-feet-long essay about 4 basic pillars of transfiguration," McGonagall says. "Class dismissed." Before leaving the classroom, Harry politely advises McGonagall where to shove her 2-feet-long essay. Not understanding any of his words, she gives him a bright smile. Defense Against the Dark Arts, an official, although a little bit longish, name of the next class. The professor, Quirinus Quirrell, is a weird man. He's very young, but already damaged by life. He seems either to have experienced some traumatizing events in his past, or developed a terrible anxiety for some other reason. He stutters and cowers, holding a lecture for Harry's class. His voice is annoyingly high-pitched. What is more, although he is talking about rather harmless and boring dark creatures such as redcaps, he seems to be terrified for some reason. Harry leans back in his chair, waiting impatiently for the lecture to be over and for the practical part of the class to start. Much to his, and apparently most of his classmates' disappointment, Quirrell goes on with his unappealing speech almost until the end of class. "Very well, he says finally. "Let's check if you paid attention during the lecture. Who can describe the physical appearance of a red cap for me?" A bushy-haired girl sitting in the front row raises her hand and moves her fingers in the air to draw Quirrell's attention. "Miss?"
"Granger, sir. Redcaps are short creatures, approximately 3 feet tall. Their claws are long and sharp. Their eyes are reddish, and their skin color is an olive shade of green."
The girl's voice is obnoxious. She seems to be a kind of person who is extremely full of herself. Splendidly, Miss Granger. 5 points to Gryffindor. Now, I need somebody to describe the places where the red caps can be found. Perhaps somebody from Slytherin for a change. Quirrell stutters. Nobody from Slytherin is as eager to answer in front of the class as the bushy-haired Gryffindor girl. Anyone? Perhaps Mr. Gaunt? Redcaps are known for inhabiting places where the soil is fertilized by human blood. Harry hisses quietly. Usually they settle down on former battlefields and other places where violent bloodshed had happened. Eyes of everybody in the class focus on Harry, who suddenly realizes that his answer had been obviously incomprehensible. Splendidly, Mr. Gaunt. Slytherin earns 10 points. Harry's eyes widen. The words in Parseltongue have just been uttered by Quirrell. Speaker? Harry asks in disbelief. Quirrell's face unexpectedly turns horribly white, like if he had just caught himself on doing something awfully wrong. Mr. Gaunt, please stay after class. The rest of you is dismissed, he says, switching back to English and to his usual stuttering. The freshmen eagerly leave their seats and chaotically head towards the door, nudging each other and yelling. Harry stays in his desk, with his heart pounding. Finding another speaker inside of this good-for-nothing school is a true miracle. His decision of going back to Hogwarts after being deadly injured had just turned out to be a blessing. As soon as the last student leaves the classroom, Harry turns towards the young teacher. Are you really a speaker? He asks. No, actually, it's not me, Quirrell answers. Let me handle it, Quirrellness. A different, deeper, far-reaching voice says, causing both Harry and Quirrell to flinch. My lord, Quirrell mutters, clearly terrified. Quirrellness, you coward. Let me speak to the boy, the deep voice says harshly. Quirrell's face winces. In a quick, panic-stricken movement, he tears his weird purple headgear off and turns around, standing back to Harry. The boy squeaks in shock. The backside of the man's face is another person's face. A flat forehead, very pale, almost grayish skin, and a non-distinctive, almost non-existent nose makes this face serpent-like. I am the speaker, the other person says in a deep but soft voice. You've intrigued me, boy. I've never thought I would encounter another one here at Hogwarts. Who would imagine? Harry whispers. Your last name sounds familiar, boy, the stranger says. Any relation to Marvolo Gaunt? I'm his grandson. The stranger's eyes widen. Harry is shook by these eyes' striking appearance. The irises are scarlet like arterial blood, with darker crimson rings around each pupil. Could you possibly be? The red-eyed stranger hisses. No, that's not possible. You're far too young to be Merope Gaunt's child. Merope is my aunt, although I never had the chance to meet her, Harry explains. I'm a son of her elder brother, Morphin. Silence. The stranger seems to be shocked by Harry's words. I'm Merope Gaunt's son, and Marvolo Gaunt's grandson. That would make the two of us first cousins. The red-eyed hisses finally. Considering the fact that ability to speak is passed on via blood, the two of us were bound to be related in one way or another. But I would never have expected having such a close living family member. That's not all, Harry notices. That would also make you an heir of Salazar Slytherin, wouldn't it? You're older than me. That makes you first in line to the heirship. The red-eyed man looked at the boy cautiously. Is your father dead? He asks. Unfortunately, yes. He died in a fire a couple of months ago, Harry admits. The red-eyed goes silent for a while, apparently lost in thought. I don't mean to be disrespectful or whatnot. Harry starts hesitantly. But what happened to you? The boy didn't mean to ask so bluntly about his cousin's weird condition that causes him to be somehow attached to Quirrell's body, but he figured that the red-eyed man isn't going to address the issue on his own. You have the misfortune to see me in a vulnerable, pathetic form, young cousin. The red-eyed hisses quietly, lifting his eyes at the boy. At this point, I am less than a human being, less even than a ghost. In order to survive, I have to inhabit other forms of life. I have to live like a parasite, using other creatures' respiratory systems, circulatory systems, and digestive systems to support my severely weakened body. Harry gasps. Do you mean that your body wouldn't be able to sustain itself on its own? You have to be attached to other creatures to survive? Yes, exactly, the red-eyed admits. Harry thinks about Quirrell, a stuttering, extremely insecure mess of a man, and a personification of mediocrity as a wizard. Please don't get me wrong, but why was Quirrell your man of choice? I mean, as a speaker, you surely have a snake familiar. The cousin's scarlet eyes brighten. I do, he hisses quietly. I have been living thanks to her sacrifice for years. Quirrell was the only way for me to get to Hogwarts. Harry winces. This place is a mess, he states with disgust. Why would you want to get in here? The red-eyed looks at the boy cautiously for a while. I suppose you've already had a chance to meet our beloved headmaster, he hisses. Harry's emerald eyes darken, and a deep shadow flits across his face. I have, he admits gravely, seeing emotions reflected on the boy's face at the mention of Dumbledore. The red-eyed thin lips curl up into a smile. Young cousin, he hisses quietly, could you do me a favor? Unbelievable, Harry hisses quietly, petting a middle head of a giant Cerberus. The enormous animal seems to be the most miserable, unhappy creature Harry has ever seen. Keeping the big dog here at school poses a danger to its students, Grassy says, apparently interpreting Harry's concern the wrong way. Screw the students, the boy hisses. Look at him. He cannot even turn around in this cramped room. He's forced to lie down in the middle of his own feces. Harry indicates the floor, which is indeed covered with a thick layer of some nasty stuff. And what is that? Looking at the two big bowls in the corner of the room. The first one contains some leftovers of what looks and smells like rotten meat. The other one is empty. It's so stuffy here, and he doesn't even have water to drink. Harry mutters, grossed out and enraged. They might not be giving the big dog enough food and water, young speaker. Not to have it urinating and defecating too much, Grassy notices. It seems that nobody is cleaning this room either. That's barbaric, Harry mutters. Aguamenti. His spell fills Cerberus' bowl with fresh water. The enormous dog reacts immediately. He bolts upright and pounces on his bowl, almost knocking it over. He drinks greedily with all three of his heads and empties the bowl in no time. He really is thirsty, Harry hisses and refills the bowl. The Cerberus empties the bowl within a couple of seconds, and Harry keeps conjuring water for him until his burning thirst is finally quenched. In the meantime, the boy casts a couple cleansing spells. Not enough to get rid of the thick layer of feces, but enough to create a clean spot for the huge dog to rest on. When the creature lies down on the clean floor, 3 pairs of small black eyes are looking at him. He could swear they are looking at him gratefully. Hope you don't mind we used the trapdoor, the boy whispers. The Cerberus doesn't look like he was about to get up anytime soon. Harry carefully opens the wooden trapdoor. A dark hole, no rope, and no ladder. The boy asks Grassy to keep his head low and jumps into the hole. The landing is unexpectedly soft, thanks to a rampant plant growing in the dark room. Grassy sticks his head out and opens his flat nostrils. Devil's snare, he hisses warningly. Harry draws his wand in a quick movement and casts a powerful lumos, creating a bright light sphere upon the soft green surface. The devil's snare sprouts immediately shrink. Contrary to Harry's expectations, there is no floor underneath the monstrous plant, just another dark hole, apparently leading to a lower level. Harry falls down in and lands gracefully on bent knees. He finds himself in a gloomy, humid passageway, which seems to be the only way forward. The corridor leads to another room, this time an enormous high-ceilinged one. Unlike the cramped room upstairs, this one seems optimal to keep a huge Cerberus, without risking him to develop ulcers and rashes from lying in his own feces. However, somebody had a brilliant idea to fill the room with a bunch of tiny birds instead. "Young speaker, these are no birds," Grassy speaks, after Harry has verbalized his poor opinion about the obstacle's designer. "These are keys. Apparently one of them is fitting to the lock of the door leading forward." Harry raises his eyebrows, walking across the high-ceilinged room towards the door. "These are keys." "Well, the designers had no luck again," he says, and kicks the door powerfully. The door violently breaks apart into wooden planks. Grassnake lifts his bright yellow eyes at his young master. "Dragon leather boots with enhanced soles," the boy explains shortly, smiling at his familiar. "Well, thinking about this, young speaker, you used to be a decent kicker, even being barefooted," Grassy notices. "With durable, solid shoes, you can probably break most doors down." The next room is also quite spacious. How could they lock a giant dog up in such cramped conditions, having so many better options? And contains something. What looked like an engorged version of a board game Harry'd seen on Spinner's End amongst Severus's stuff. Black and white marble statues stand in rows on the board, facing each other. "Is that a game we're supposed to play?" Harry mutters. "I don't even know the name of it." He slowly starts making his way across the huge board, and, just like he's anticipated, the giant figures all pounce on him at once in a quite uncoordinated attack. Of course, being huge, heavy, and made of marble, the statues have much less freedom of movement and dexterity than an athletic, quick-witted young boy. Harry effortlessly dodges the clumsy attacks and reaches the other side of the chamber, where he gives the oak door the same treatment he gave the previous one. Another huge room. A strong, rotten odor hits Harry's nostrils powerfully. "Watch out, speaker! Mountain troll!" Grassy hisses warningly. Harry lifts his head, just in time to see a huge, gray-skinned, anthropomorphic creature taking a wide swing backwards with his mace. Harry dodges the strike and pulls his wand out, preparing for a fight. He catches himself on watching the troll's toes and curses quietly. He is so used to fighting in a team with Grassy that he subconsciously expects the snake to spring vigorously on the giant creature's legs and, like always, tie them up together, immobilizing the enemy. Not anymore. They are never going to fight together anymore, now when Grassy is permanently crippled. Now, Harry has to fight alone to protect both himself and his familiar. "Confringo," the boy hisses, aiming his wand at the mace. The crude tool explodes into wooden splinters, and the troll goes berserk. He growls in a horrible, far-reaching voice and charges the boy, apparently willing to smash him to the ground. Harry points his wand towards the troll's knees and hisses a command in Parseltongue, creating a adorable black smudge, the same one that he used in Hogwarts Express to seal his compartment up. The smudge glues the giant's legs together. He collapses on his belly with a muffled bang. Harry also immobilizes the troll's arms. "What should we do with him?" he asks hesitantly, looking down at the wriggling creature on the ground. The troll is just another magical creature who had been taken from its natural habitat and locked up in an underground room without proper nourishment or fresh water, as a part of a ridiculous obstacle course. He's a prisoner here, just like the Cerberus. "Put him to sleep," Grassy hisses quietly. Harry's eyes brighten. Parcel magic-induced sleep introduces one's body into a state of deep hibernation. That simple ability has been helping the Serpent throughout the centuries to survive cold seasons and long periods of time without food. He kneels down beside the troll's disproportionately small head and presses his wand against it, hissing some complex soothing incantations. The giant creature gradually relaxes, finally closing his watery eyes and plunging into sleep. Harry and Grassy leave him, heading towards the entrance. The next chamber is not spacious and resembles an ordinary room in a basement. The only piece of furniture it contains is a long table, with 7 glass vials standing on it in a line. As soon as Harry finds himself close to the table, fire springs up in the doorways, both in the one leading onwards and in the one leading back. Flames are glittering with some unusual color, a bright shade of violet in case of the doorway behind Harry, and a deep dark, almost black, for the doorway in front of him. The 7 glass vials on the table in the middle of the chamber clearly indicate some kind of riddle, which is supposed to be solved to go further. There is even a piece of parchment, written in a neat penmanship, apparently containing a list of clues. Is one of these potions going to enable walking through the flames, young speaker? Grassy asked. Don't know. I can't read that anyway. So I'm going to solve this riddle in a good old-fashioned way, the boy replies, and draws his wand, casting a wordless expulso upon the table. The 7 glass vials blast apart, spilling their contents all over the table. Mixed fragrances of 7 different potions hit Harry's nostrils powerfully. After a couple of seconds, much to the astonishment of the boy, the glass splinters and spilled fluids vanish without a trace. The glass vials, unscratched and filled with potions, reappear on the table out of nowhere. Crap, Harry mutters, somewhat confused. So much for the effect. He approaches the doorway leading onwards. Despite the altered color, the dark fire looks like a variation of cursed flames. Grassy, keep your head low, Harry says. I'm going to mix these flames with my own. The entirety will be easier to put out. As soon as the snake disappears entirely into the pocket, the boy points his wand towards the burning doorway. Fiend fire, he hisses, and a blazing stream shoots out of his wand. Contrary to Harry's expectations, his red and golden fire stream doesn't fuse itself into the dark flames in the doorway. It interlaces itself with them, creating an astonishing, beautiful riot of colors. The boy, stunned by the amazing spectacle, takes a wide swing backwards with his wand and lowers it violently, turning the pointed end towards the ground. The flames vanish. Harry sighs and walks through the empty doorway. The next chamber is odd. There is nothing inside except for a wardrobe-sized mirror. Another riddle? Harry frowns and looks around the room, looking for any hint or hidden clue. Grassy sticks his head out of the pocket. Young speaker, there is no door leading forward. The snake notices. Harry feels a rush of excitement. His familiar is right. They have apparently reached their final destination. The Sorcerer's Stone has to be in this room, the boy exclaims. Possibly, but there also may be a hidden passage inside of this mirror. Harry comes up to the mirror and extends his hand to touch its smooth, cold surface. He feels disappointed. There is nothing special about this mirror, except maybe for a long caption engraved in its frame, which Harry is unable to read anyway. There is nothing indicating existence of a hidden passage inside. No trace of the Sorcerer's Stone. Harry clenches his fist, ready to punch the mirror and smash it into tiny pieces. He has yet another reason to be outraged and infuriated by Dumbledore's politics. There is a barely alive man, Harry's first cousin, who cannot breathe, eat, or move around on his own, and has to lower himself to a level of a leech, surviving by parasitizing on others. There is a miraculous artifact, the Sorcerer's Stone, which could give Harry's cousin a new life, providing him with a new, strong, healthy, fully functional body. And finally, there is a twisted-minded old megalomaniac, Albus Dumbledore, who is apparently obsessed on keeping the stone for himself to such a ridiculous degree that he had even designed a complex obstacle course to protect it. Granted, the obstacle course is easy enough to be effortlessly destroyed by an 11-year-old with a crippled familiar. Then again, the course clearly had not been designed for a fully capable, physically fit wizard, but rather for someone with some major physical and magical restrictions, specifically for Harry's half-alive cousin. The boy takes a swing backwards with his clenched fist to smash the old coot's disgusting mirror. But suddenly, he feels a significant weight and unpleasant coldness in his hip pocket. Taken aback, he reaches into his pocket and touches a smooth, cold surface of an oblong object. He pulls it out and gasps. A small, sleek stone in a beautiful shade of scarlet, identical with his cousin's eyes. Young speaker, that's the Sorcerer's Stone. How did you do it? Grassy hisses in disbelief. I'm not sure, Harry admits, stunned. I was just standing in front of this mirror and suddenly felt it in my pocket. So the mirror was not a portal, but rather an ultimate protection of the stone? The snake whispers. It seems so, but that's ridiculous, ain't it? Dumbledore could have just kept the mirror in his office instead of creating this whole assault course. Harry mutters. And if he wanted the stone for himself so badly, he could have just kept it always in his pocket, Grassy adds. Or better his ass, Harry mutters. Let's go to Quirrell's office. My cousin is there. As soon as we deliver the stone, he can immediately start brewing the potion. Young speaker, it's 3 a.m. Grassy notices. Crap, Harry swears, and casts a quick tempest. Not surprisingly, the snake's internal clock again proves itself to be flawless. The whole endeavor took us longer than I had expected. He puts the stone into his inner pocket and turns around, quickly heading back towards the door. You must rest, young speaker. Did Cerberus specify where's a place for you to sleep in that school? Harry blinks. He realizes that he has no idea where he should head for a night's rest while at Hogwarts. He had a couch in the living room at Spinner's End, and he had his sickbed as an inpatient in St. Mungo's. Here, he has never been told anything about sleeping arrangements. Having his way almost cleared, Harry quickly and effortlessly reaches the end of the first corridor, where the ceiling is covered with rampant sprouts of devil's snare. The boy deals with the nasty plant, conjuring a glowing orb, and casts a powerful Levicorpus jinx upon himself. Harry allows himself to freely ascend upside down until he reaches the closed wooden trapdoor. He breaks it down with a single powerful kick, and climbs up back to the cramped chamber on the castle's 3rd floor. The Cerberus appears to be sleeping, or at least 2 of his 3 heads are. The 3rd one is apparently on guard. Small black eyes glitter in the dim light of Harry's wand. There is something in the giant dog's eyes. We don't have a place to sleep, Harry whispers to him. The boy is perfectly aware that the dog probably cannot answer his words, but his partial legitimacy is a tool powerful enough to get the simple message across. Much to Harry's astonishment, the Cerberus moves his guarding head to the side, clearly making a place for the boy. Harry makes eye contact with the beast again, this time making sure that he and Grassy are invited to spend the night in the Cerberus' company. The boy crawls up in between the massive heads and makes himself comfortable, leaning back against the middle head's giant neck. He also helps Grassy to climb up on one of the huge paws, where the snake immediately curls up and buries himself in the furry softness. In the pleasant warmth, Harry's eyelids are quickly getting heavy. Slowly falling asleep, he notices with half-open eyes the giant dog's awake head getting close to him and sniffing him curiously. Oh, right, Harry whispers. You deserve an explanation. He reaches to his inner pocket and pulls out the scarlet stone, lifting it up for the dog to see. That is the only reason you have been dragged to this place, Harry says apologetic. That is the only reason you had to endure imprisonment in a cramped room, without proper food or clean water, lying in the middle of your own feces. The Cerberus' awake head droops and lies down on the floor. Harry sighs. Yes, he has never seen a more unhappy and miserable creature than this one. It's already over, the boy whispers soothingly. Soon, you are going to be free again. I'm in charge of the stone now.